Well, it's been a very emotional day watching that documentary focusing on the cost of leukemia for a lot of families who simply can't afford it. And tonight we're going to have a conversation that hopefully leads to some solutions on this matter. The Last Chance Abroad. It tells its own crisp story. In other words, you can't find the treatment here in Ghana. You have to find money and take your ward or yourselves abroad to go and get treatment. And it costs quite a bit, as you've already seen in this documentary. If you have to survive, you have to raise thousands of dollars within weeks just to survive. And on the average, we're talking about $100,000. How many Ghanaians can afford this, the average cost of treatment for leukemia in Ghana? Currently, we're talking about more than a million cedis. So this is completely beyond the means of most Ghanaians. And as you know, as far as disease is concerned and health is concerned, there's no respect of persons. If you go to the specific case of Jason, whose treatment we've talked about in this very powerful, compelling documentary, they had to leave Ghana and go to India for treatment. It cost a lot in India. They came back to Ghana, and although they had hope at the time when the Indian treatment ended, somehow the cancer returned, the leukemia came back, the challenges was still there, although they had the bone marrow transplant in India. They had to now go to Singapore to seek further treatment. It was at a time in Singapore that it became impossible to continue the treatment after all the monies had been spent, and the tragic result of what we witnessed in that very touching documentary is what we saw. So that's a story of one family. You can imagine the countless number of families going through this on a daily basis, the stories you've not heard. And that is why we are gathering tonight on PM Express for a conversation. It could be you, it could be me, it could be your child, it could be mine as well. And don't wait until it's yours before you then say you wish you had contributed. And everybody else can contribute in this particular campaign that we are currently waging with our colleagues and friends who have found a worthy cause to say we need to come together to fix this as a country. And if you look at how much it will cost us to begin to fix this, it isn't enough. In the bigger scheme of things, the amount of money we waste in this country, we have to say, this is PMX because here we ask the questions. The amount of money we spent on the cathedral would have gone a long way in fixing this. And you need to look at the opportunity costs of what we decide to spend our money on in this country and what we could have spent it on. The sheer amount of money we waste, if you look at the Auditor General's report, what we're currently asking for, it's a drop in a mighty ocean. If you look at battling leukemia in Ghana, you're talking about often the challenges, the mixed diagnosis, the early stages. It's not because you don't have the skilled manpower that will do this. There is a variety of reasons why this is the case, and my guests will tell us. Part of this is also education, because early detection increases your chances of survival. Key diagnostic tests unavailable in Ghana is one of them, as we've heard today. Late referrals is another one. It's a challenge. And then you have the problem of bone marrow transplants not available in this country. And so we need to find a way of fixing this holistically. If you look at the post-treatment care, it's also difficult to access in this country. NHIS obviously doesn't provide cover for blood cancers, and a single drug can cost you in excess of 10,000 cedis. Many can't afford that, to buy one drug for 10,000 cedis. So that is a problem. And then the shocking statistic that we had today, that 50% of those who will be diagnosed will die. But this is a number that we can do something about if we invest. If we invest, say, 177 million cedis currently, we would establish a leukemia treatment facility in Ghana that can help. And we're raising funds for this and more. And if you're watching this and you've watched the documentary, go into our social media handles if you've missed it to watch the full thing. But wait for the conversation also. But you need to contribute to this figure to try and set up this leukemia treatment center in this country at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where we have the men, women who can indeed run the facility, but equip it fully. So the next time we have a story like what we've heard, we wouldn't have to go to India or Singapore, where the cost is even more prohibitive because they are factoring in the cost of accommodation. And the story you had there in Singapore, the mother who is already battling the prohibitive cost to take care of a child now have to now dig deep to find resources to pay for accommodation in a country that they have absolutely no relations or connections in. That is something that we can fix. So the statistics, if you look at the World Health Organization, it just tells the story broadly of 475 recorded cases in Ghana, 13th most common cancer in Ghana. This is according to 2022 data, 11th deadliest. So this is one that claims a lot of life, but we can begin to do something about it. And children, obviously, bear the brunt of this. We heard a story today of how it tends to affect children, young children, 1,200, again, as the data tells us, under 15 develop cancers of various forms. And we've heard from the doctors who say, if you set up this facility, you can actually use it for other things as far as cancer is concerned. Let's have this conversation tonight. You've watched it. I haven't touched. If you haven't been, well, you have to have yourself checked. Because that story we've had there is one story, but it's a story that resonates with a lot of people. It's just one story of many. And there are hundreds, possibly thousands out there we haven't heard the story of, how they're struggling to take care of their loved ones who are battling with this very deadly disease. My guests are joining me for a conversation tonight, at the end of which we're hoping that we can do something collectively about this, raise the funds needed to set up that facility and equip it. I guess we'll weigh in after this. Stay with me on PM Express. And thanks for staying with us here on PM Express. Today has been pretty emotional, watching the documentary on leukemia and how it's ripping families apart. My guests are joining us for a conversation that hopefully at the end of today, we can get you digging into your bank accounts and checks, signing as much as you can so we can raise funds to build that center that is much needed to save lives in this country. We'll weigh into that pretty shortly. But as you know, PMS is always brought to you by Polytank, a strong Syntex tank. It's strong, it's tough. You look for the tortoise on the tank, and that will indicate to you that indeed it is the right tank to use. If you can't find a tortoise on it, then it isn't Syntex tank. It is the tank that may not last you any further than briefly. Look for them across the country and give them a call. A strong, a tough, and Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is also one that I recommend to you every evening because it guarantees you stronger white teeth and one that also deals with all the challenges that you accumulate as you eat throughout the day. And my guest joining me for a conversation tonight, Dr. Yakubu Saidu Adam is the CEO of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. It's me in the studio. Thank you, Doc, for joining us on PM Express. Gerald Boache also joins us. He is with the foundation that they've been working for a while now, dealing with this particular problem, and I'm delighted that he can join us. And they've been doing a lot of work. You've seen him in the documentary already, and he's here to expand on the work that they've been doing over the years. Also joining me for a conversation is Dr. Eugene Tete. He is the specialist hematologist at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. We also have Dr. Lawrence Ofori-Boadu, is the Director of Institutional Care at the Ghana Health Service. And then the man who is regular on PM Express is a man of not many parts, all parts. Senyo Hosi is a board member of the Leukemia Project Foundation. Senyo, thanks for your time. And I want to start with Elizabeth Arthur Emisa, and she joins us on Zoom. It's a story you heard in that documentary played. She was a protagonist there, sharing the tragic story of her child who eventually passed. And Elizabeth, how are you holding up? I heard the story. It's, for me, seemed pretty fresh because from what I understand, this happened last year in April, so slightly over a year. This must be pretty tough, reliving and talking about it, using it as the bedrock for a conversation around solutions.
Thank you for having me on your show, and good evening to your listeners. That question is a little bit tricky whenever somebody asks me how I'm holding up. I honestly don't know how I'm holding up, but by the grace of God, I think I'm just doing well, taking everything a day at a time, just allowing life to be life because I really can't do much about it. So, yeah.
And when I was listening to you throughout the documentary, I was asking, what for you will be the ideal outcome from sharing that story in memory of your child?
For me, I quite remember when the doctors told me it was no longer going to be possible to go on with the treatment. They asked me if they could take some samples to help other children because the type of leukemia he had was quite rare. And I said, of course, here you can take the samples. So for me, it's not just about the conversation about leukemia, it's about what can be done after you find that another person has leukemia. How are you going to be able to solve all these problems? So the bigger picture is for me to be able to have this conversation effortlessly and to create a system where we are able to diagnose early, where we are able to have a higher survival rate, where we are able to have the expertise. So the most ideal thing for me would still be for us to keep having the conversation, create more awareness. However, I would love for the expertise for the systems to be created so that more children, more families can be saved and more families wouldn't have to go through what my family went through.
Please stay with me. I'm delighted that we have you in this conversation. I want to bring Dr. Teting to the conversation. You're a specialist, a hematologist. How common is Madam Arthur's story?
Okay, so latest figures, over the last 5 years, leukemias have increased in numbers, and they were taking most of our childhood cancers. Up to about 25% of childhood cancers, I'm talking about cancers in children of all kinds, leukemias form about 25% of that. Okay. That's a fourth, one fourth of that, and that's quite a number. That's quite a number. There are two
and
types.
cancers take what share of our general health challenges?
About 10% of our.
So cancers generally?
General, but pediatric cancers in general, about 25% of them are leukemias. The leukemias, there are two main groups. The children usually have the acute leukemias. All right. They are the chronic leukemias, that's more on the adult side. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking about the acute leukemias, the two main types, acute myeloid and acute lymphoblastic. That's about 25%.
Basically, what are they though? I mean, we talk about leukemia as if we all understand what that is.
Yes.
What is leukemia when we say somebody has leukemia?
So leukemia is a cancer of the white blood cells. So blood, as we see it, the red fluid we see, has certain cells in them. There are three main types. The first one is the red blood cell, the one we see when they are transfusing somebody, the one they hang up and they go, that's a red blood cell. Then there's the white blood cell. They are the security forces of the body. They protect the body from infections, whether they are viruses. I'm sure during the COVID time, we'll talk about immunity. Yes, those are the cells that are involved with immunity of the body. So it is cancer of those cells.
And the third one?
The third type of cell, that's the platelets. They prevent bleeding. So when you get a cut and you apply a little pressure, it stops because your platelets are working. Now, leukemias are cancer of the white blood cell. So what it does is that your soldiers, your security system is totally off. So what happens is that the cells increase in numbers and they just don't increase. They are not able to perform their functions well because they are immature. So I liken it to children being in school. You're supposed to go to Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, and then you write exams and you pass out. If in Form 1 you have to write SSC or if you write BC, you will write it, but you might not, or you will not make the mark. So that's what happens with the cells. They're supposed to go through developmental stages. In the acute leukemias, as we see in children, early in the development, the maturation stops and they start increasing in numbers. So even though there are lots, they are not working. So it's like there are a lot of soldiers in town who can't do anything, or policemen who can't do anything. And that's what the problem is. You are exposed to a lot of infections.
Okay.
So today you have an eye infection, tomorrow you have a pneumonia, the next time you have a urinary tract infection, and that's how we pick them up.
Okay, but why is it that children appear to be, am I right to say they appear to be most at risk?
I would say children are most at risk. I mean, I think it's the detection. You know, in every society, children have some special place, right? So the numbers are the same for the adults.
Okay.
Just that adults have other things, other cardiovascular problems, the hypertension, diabetes, strokes and stuff. For children, it seems to occupy a bigger fraction. Yes.
Why?
Maybe because children have, with children, parents are, for adults, when something happens to an adult, the adult will have to sort of volunteer, go to the hospital. With children, parents are there, other people are looking out for the child. So issues with children are easily picked up. Okay. And that's why we are seeing the numbers. I was just telling my CEO that for me, we are diagnosing them more now because of awareness, because now we are able to pick them early.
Okay.
In the past, it will be very difficult because pediatricians were all either in Accra or Kumasi or maybe Takrady or something. Now we have pediatricians in Brekum, in Nkoko, in Ho, Tamale and all that. So they are picking up some of the things quite early. And that's why we are seeing the numbers. Yes, because now we are becoming alert. Even the public is becoming alert to some of the things because of the constant education. And
Dr. Adam, I've heard today about the challenge with diagnosing the problem.
Yeah.
And that the early diagnosis increases your chances of survival, except that in our part of the world, specifically Ghana, we are not direct diagnosing early, and so then that increases the chances of it becoming fatal.
Yeah.
What can you say about it? What's the challenge there? Why is that happening? Although, yes, you've seen some improvement in the diagnosis, but there's still a lot more people not being diagnosed early.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Actually, like he mentioned earlier, in the past, diagnosis was a problem. That is to say that we didn't have so many specialists in the hinterland, the other district. Now we have so many specialists around, and they are able to detect it early. By detecting it early, you have to confirm the diagnosis. So when you come to confirmation of the diagnosis, that's where we have a problem.
What's the problem?
The problem is most of the confirmation has to be done outside the country. Like if you have to do the typing, you have to do the confirmation. Either you send the blood sample to South Africa, sometimes to India, and some other countries. So that is our main challenge.
But why though? We don't have the equipment.
We don't have the equipment. We don't have the setup.
These are specialized tests.
Okay.
So that is why I want to commend the Leukemia Foundation for taking this initiative.
What equipment do you require to confirm?
Okay, so maybe I should come in again.
Yeah.
So the tests, they are specialized tests. So suspecting and going through the processes, we can do that. But there are different types of the leukemias. Even for the AML, acute myeloid leukemia, there are subtypes. All right, so you need to confirm which type you are dealing with because every type has a different approach.
Okay.
Yes. So we need specializers. So we need PCR. It's a polymerase chain reaction test. We need FISH, fluorescent hybridization. We need genetic testing sometimes, and these things we cannot do here. We don't have the equipment to do these things here. So that's why sometimes we fly the samples out. If it can be the parents or the sponsors can pay for it, it goes out. And that also delays because sometimes it can go out. I've had cases where it spent a month in India or in South Africa before I get the results.
For somebody on leukemia, a month could be the difference between life and death.
It's a very long time. For anybody with acute leukemia, even a day is a very long time.
Doc, you're saying something on that?
I mean, you need to firm up the diagnosis before you can start your treatment. So that's where it's key. If there are delays, then certainly you have to start your intervention late.
And by the way, how much does it cost to do that, flying over to another country and bringing it back? How much does it cost a patient to do that?
For the immunophenotyping, the basic, I mean, anything between 2,500 to 5,000 CDs.
Okay, CDs, okay.
Yeah, per sample.
Per sample.
You know where the sample goes, yes. So,
okay.
And sometimes...
Dollars or CDs?
CDs.
CDs, just for the test.
Yes,
that's for the test.
That's for the test.
Okay.
Sometimes it goes and it's not conclusive.
Not conclusive.
We need to
Yeah,
give them
okay.
additional
Go again.
information, so they will call back. Then we give them additional information. I said there are different types of these things that we are
So
doing.
it ranges between 2,000 and 5,000. And how much would it cost you to have the equipment and the testing facility for this to happen?
Yeah, so you see, it's not just equipment. It has to be a comprehensive, because
So let's isolate the testing.
the testing, okay.
The testing. I know we're talking about the facility wholly. I mean, as
Yes.
a unit, we'll talk about it. But I just want to isolate the testing.
Yes. So for the figures, I mean,
I see,
I'm sure-
Doc, you have the figures. How much it cost just to...
I'm sure the figures, we all know the figures. So,
There is an institute in town that is, by law, they can't do diagnostics. They're doing research. They work with part of the hematology department, and they. So it's going to be voluntary if you have to, and then doctors might not take their results, but it's purely research, and that costs about $200 to $500 just for the testing.
But I think you're looking at the
Yeah,
equipment.
I'm looking at what would it cost to set up, to have the equipment
Because
to
you
test?
The project, as we've designed now, has a budget of almost $4 million for medical equipment.
For just equipment.
Just
for the
equipment. And that will cover not just that, but other diseases as well. You know, Evans, this evening, what we are talking about really is not just about leukemia.
Yeah.
We are looking at a center for hematology and not just leukemia. There are other blood cancers. There's myeloma, there's lymphoma, actually multiple myeloma, actually, you know, and then lymphoma. There are other blood diseases that are critical, like sickle cell, which is it's rampant.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely know some sickle cell patients. I've
Yeah.
lost a cousin of mine who died to sickle cell some time back. It's about lives. It's not just about building a center. It's not just about the disease. It's about lives that are being lost. It's about families that are being shattered by the loss of a parent, a trajectory of a whole family just being lost only because people can't afford to take that last chance abroad. We can't continue to do that. This center is meant to bring hope, and every effort being put here, and I want to commend Kolebu for the cooperation we've had from them. I've been leading this project on the project team for quite a while now. We've had fantastic cooperation from them. They've given us good insight. They volunteered on the design side. And Doc, the two of you, we have great people. But great people actually need a great environment to deliver greatness. And that is what is missing this time. So let's not just look at this as just another project. All right. I was happy to have done led a COVID project. It was a very critical thing. But for us to see 10% of our health problems being cancers, of which 25% are blood cancers, practically means what? 2.5% of all our health problems in a 30 million population being this, and look at over 1 million people. Where's the hope? This project is a symbol of hope, a symbol that rewrites a story to transform and impact our health system, to give hope to families that are distraught this evening, to make sure the likes of Jason don't happen again. That when people have these challenges, there's somewhere to look up to. And our medics have a real place to put to practice the skills that they have. And I think we can do it. I agree with you. We've seen waste from government, but we all can't just wait for government every time to get these things done. We are looking at a project that's going to cost us about $11 million.
That is the facility to
the facilities, everything.
Built from scratch.
Yeah, from scratch. From scratch, a lot of work's gone on, on the design side. We are privileged to have this.
And I believe what you see on your screen there is a 3D rendition of what it will look like once it's done.
We've had professionals, consultants who have actually worked less than half the fee, just as part of their contribution. The likes of Fifi, Yasebi, Ian Agbenyega. You mentioned
Fifi, child of survivor.
whose mom was a survivor. We've had the engineers from the Institute of Engineering also volunteering to some extent, and we've had great support. on the consulting side. But we need money to match this, to get across the line. Kolebu has been kind enough. They've given us a location. They've given us medics. They've given us biomedics to help us design and structure this. It can be done. I want to really take advantage of this opportunity, Evans. Our SOEs, our private businesses, GNPC, Ghana Gas, all the folks that help us with the COVID, Fidelity Bank, every single one of them. We never know, because cancer, you never choose. Cancer chooses you, and you never know when. It actually comes next door. When we're building the COVID hospital, there are a few donors who, we had to just hustle them a bit, and they donated a few bags here and there. Fast forward, these were MPs, so they ended up finding themselves in that facility.
Yeah.
It could be anyone. We have to start turning the story around and bringing hope to real families that live out there. And every CD counts. That CSR budget, let's commit that, a part of it, to help transform and rewrite this and bring hope to our own society. It can be done.
Gerald, the foundation, though, I've been curious all day about what started it. Because you could have done so many other foundations, right? Yeah. Because as we've just heard there.
Yeah.
But what started?
Like you knew we came from wildlife.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, what started? That was my passion. But successively, I had about 4 different friends, just year after year, just pass. And so if you have faith, you lose people. It's normal. It will happen.
It was almost like a death sentence.
Yeah.
That when it happens to you.
But what would hit you is you lose people when you knew something can be done about it, but you just stand there hopeless. I mean, one of them, probably not ethical, but the doctor had to comfort me and called me in his consulting room and said, Gerard, stop wasting your money.
Okay.
But that was the truth. When you read about it, that was the truth. She was telling you the truth. So
the person who's going to die, there's nothing you can do about it.
3 days ago, the presenter sat here and asked me, what made you start this? Did you lose somebody close to you? And I said, no. Thankfully, I didn't. But this is not something I would even wish on my worst enemy. Just this afternoon, I had a call, and my nephew had been diagnosed.
Wow. And this is a fight we were waging for other people, and it comes home. Yeah.
What is it?
Evans, leukemia, people think about it as rare. Let's get it right. Leukemia is not rare. It is real.
Yeah.
All right? Blood cancers are not rare. They are actually real.
And actually, when you talk of the blood cancer like leukemia, let's also get it right. I mean, we are able to manage most of them.
Yes.
You start, you get remissions, but they are able to relapse. Mm-hmm. When they relapse and relapse again, then that's when you realize that you need to do the bone marrow transplant. Okay.
And that's the story we had
in we the cannot help at all.
Where the Ghanaian treatment initially started yielding results, and then the relapse happened.
That's the chemotherapy.
Yes.
But it's not curative.
Just to manage it.
You manage it. And no, some people can actually go into remission for a long time.
Remission and
yes, I've had patients with remission
just with chemo.
8 years, just with chemo. But the chances of relapse are higher with chemo. And that's why you have to have a fallback plan. All right. And that's where most of the time they have to go out. But if we had that facility here, and I mean the research will tell you, everybody knows that with hematological cancers, there's always a chance of relapse with chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is no cure. We all know that. So then it's like we are offering our people something we know will always, I mean, there's a chance that a person will relapse.
Come back.
And the challenge, and I think Gerald said something that's striking, the financial toll that you have to bear, knowing that it can return, can be devastating.
Yes, it can.
I mean, and I want to bring in Elizabeth after I missed her back into it, because she lived this. And Elizabeth, when I was listening to your story, the part that really broke my heart was after the Indian visit. You went to India, you spent a lot of money, you have raised the funding that you didn't have, and you had read quite a bit, so your intervention actually got the doctors. They were open-minded. to try other forms of treatment, and it worked. You were discharged, you came back home, only to then realize that the challenge was back. That must have been a difficult moment for you. And many people listen to you, and Gerard's point that really hits me. The doctor calling him and telling him, you're wasting your funds. That must have been very challenging, considering what you had to endure to raise the funds in the first place to go to India.
Yeah, I can't even begin to tell you how challenging that felt. But like the doctor said, anytime they tell you your child has any hematological disorder, the blood cancers, there is always that room that it's possible the cancer may return. So even after we did the bone marrow transplant, the doctors kept telling us that post-transplant care is also extremely important. And there was always that that knowledge that it obviously it's cancer, it can return through no fault of yours, through all the interventions that you've done. It's possible the cancer would return, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. So at the back of my mind, I had that there because I had been counseled, I had been told, the family had been told that even after this intervention, there is always that small chance that leukemia can return. So that's what happened. So it wasn't like I didn't know. I knew that there was that possibility that even after the bone marrow transplant, the cancer can't find its way back. But I didn't think it was going to be that soon. However, sometimes bone marrow can be the curative that we all hope for, but for other children, for other families, it's not always the case. In Jason's case, so many things were against him, as we discovered in Singapore. He had a very rare type of leukemia. It was called KMT2A, MLL. He had the way they explained it to me was that he had a mixed lineage leukemia. And it was more like he had the two types of leukemia coexisting in his body. So he had acute myeloid leukemia and acute lymphoblastic leukemia coexisting in his body. Yes. And we didn't discover that in Ghana. We didn't discover that in India. But it took a geneticist in Singapore to actually go beyond what everybody had done, because the medications, the interventions that they were giving him should have worked in Singapore. But at every point, the cancer cells kept rising. So that was what prompted that geneticist to actually do a genetic analysis. So he came for the very first sample we took here in Ghana, and then collected the other samples from India, and then put all of them together, and then started from the beginning, and then started doing the genetic analysis. And then that's when he found out that aside whatever that was going on, there was that mixed lineage leukemia that was playing a major factor in everything. So they were hoping to do a second transplant to be able to change the gene and then trigger something. And then they found out that the gene that he had partnered with another terrible gene. And so that made it impossible. So yeah, that was the situation. So at the back of my mind, I knew it will come back. But there are always interventions. One step doesn't work, you keep going until you find that intervention. But unfortunately, it was not like that in our case, even though we had a very great medical team, but it was just not possible because of the type of genes and the partner gene that Jason had. Yeah.
And thank you. Yeah, Gerard.
So the moral of this whole thing, or what you take from this, is that apart from the fact that we're losing our loved ones, we're losing the opportunity of reducing the time of management, we're losing a serious research knowledge, because our loved ones die abroad. They die and leave all that knowledge abroad.
Because understand that the Indians actually have to come for the samples of this to study.
So we're losing all that. So we are third world because we can't even move from that third world situation. Because we're losing all that research information out there. And that's one of the aspects that Senyo said this center is going to contribute to.
And that is one of the positives we actually achieve when we get the setup.
Yeah, and Dr. Adam, there's something Elizabeth says that brings me to a point about the expertise you require.
I think it's important that we situate the relevance of that research in healthcare. So it's not just for knowledge purposes, because of how that average Ghanaian understands research. It's like we are enjoying data and then book. No, it's not.
It's for
It's for us to be able to
manage.
develop better interventions to save more lives going forward. The black man's gene is not the white man's gene. Yeah. It's not the Indian man's gene. They are totally different. If not the amount of money that this West invest in acquiring data, which we don't even process, you have no clue. Because they understand even our genes more than even we do for ourselves. But the more we can understand our genetics, understand the complications about how this could be handled relative to our particular society, the better it is that the two of them here can save more lives. So that research thing is important, not just for knowledge purposes, but for us to be able to save more lives going forward. Because from the losses we learn, so we reduce the losses going forward.
Yeah, and Dr. Adams, there's a point that she made about the expertise that was required. In India, they couldn't figure out what exactly was wrong with the child. But it was in Singapore that they tried something else, that they didn't realize that the two different types were residing in the same body. That brings me to the question of expertise.
Yeah.
Do we have the expertise locally if we set this up to run it?
Certainly.
And what would it take to get that level of expertise?
Yes, but it doesn't mean that we have it all.
Okay.
I mean, when you look at the numbers, looking at our population, we have the specialists and the consultants. But certainly, if we have more, we would appreciate that. And that is why if we have the setup, we'll train more of our own Ghanaians. You see, when you look at, okay, like he said, they went to India, they did the intervention, and you need to be going back to the lab to verify what we are doing. So that is why when they were intervening and they realized that, oh, if it is this, and we are employing this intervention, all things being equal, this should be the result we should be expecting. And when they were not getting it, they had to scale it up again and went further to do further testing. And that is what we absolutely don't have here. We don't have that. So that is why I once again want to commend the Leukemia Foundation and this edifice that we want to set up. It's not only going to take care of leukemias, as mentioned, it will also take care of the multiple myelomas, even sickle cell diseases, the lymphomas we deal with. All that
the cancer of the blood generally, right?
Yeah, all cancers of the blood.
Yeah.
So it's very important that we have such a facility. And that is not all. We still have to continue with the training and collaborations.
Yeah.
Like we have been doing. We have collaborations with some universities in India. We also have collaborations with some NGOs who have links in America and some of these Western countries. That is key for us to reach to the level that she experienced in Singapore. So we cannot just have it once. It's going to be developmental.
Yeah. Something that grows. Give me your thoughts on the expertise bit and how this institution center, once established, then creates the enabling environment to train and build expertise in that area.
Yes.
So Lord Doctor, tell you how many hematologists we have first.
Yes. Give me a sense. How many?
Every day we are counting. So at the last count, we are about 25 in the whole country.
Okay.
And that includes those who are
2
retired.
million people.
Those are retired.
It includes some of my professors.
Does it include the pediatricians?
The pediatricians, even if you add them, I mean, we will not get to 30.
Oh, wow.
I can tell you, there's no hematologist in Tamale. Ho has none. Sunyani has none. Cape Coast has 2. 37 has 2. Kumasi has 2.
And Cape Coast has it because of the medical
But
school.
what we have is pediatricians.
Yeah.
So they are able to some extent detect some of this or suspect
but
that
the treatment requires like doctors specialized in that area. Actually, bone marrow transplant or stem cell transplant is a whole field of medicine. All right. And when you ask about the expertise, I can tell you that I have traveled out and we all go out, we join teams, we have discussions, we know what they do. But you know that you can sit and watch what they do until you are really doing it. So, and that's why it's important that if we start this thing, we start doing it, we'll build capacity. We'll build we might even become more adept at handling our own people.
Yeah.
You understand how it is.
And
it's
good
for people to come
You know,
in.
you have a higher chance of dying of malaria if you get malaria outside of Africa.
It's not high. They're real life cases.
I have very close people who are
apart from that,
You'll be quarantined because
I'm telling you.
And because they have their skills and knowledge when it comes to handling these cases. It's not that they don't know, but they don't do it often. I tell people that I see more sickle cell cases than some professors in US.
Yeah, certainly.
Daily.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
I
have
see a
more
lot of sickle cell cases. So when it comes to sickle cell, even when I'm asleep, you call me, I know what to do because I've been doing it a lot of times. Right? Yeah. That's how this thing is. The more you do, the more you become better at it, and then people can join.
I'm just thinking about Elizabeth's story. The doctors who treated this child, her child, both in India and Singapore, would have gained tremendous amount of knowledge.
That's what I meant.
On this, because India, they have not seen this type before.
No.
They would have gained extreme amount of knowledge just by doing that, and they would have researched extensively into a poster.
Daily.
I'm sure as we talk right now, they are doing their things. And the next time you see a case from Ghana or Africa, their mind
They'll go first.
will say
straight
that
to
this
that
could be
level.
what we saw the last
Exactly.
time. And that's how things
We missed the
improve.
opportunity.
And that's why we say we are losing the data. If she hadn't mentioned this, I have seen a few cases of bilineage and all that. Yes, coexisting. But I didn't know that this particular case had that. Okay. So when you detect some of these things, it helps to sort of restructure or look at your protocols and others. And that's what we are missing, apart from saving lives and all that.
I mean, Gerald, you talked about and your story actually makes the point that it can happen to anyone. And here you are, you've been waging this campaign for a long time. And I was talking to you about, what?
Yeah.
And then there you tell me, was it just yesterday or today?
Yesterday.
Your nephew
Today. Yes.
has been diagnosed.
Yeah.
And if people listen and say, oh, but this is far away from me.
And they had to
This
come
has
from
never happened.
Kumasi.
To Accra.
Confirm it in Accra.
Kumamoto Teaching Hospital, to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
To get it confirmed.
And I think it makes the point. I mean, there are people who think we're listening today who thought, oh, this is such a boring story.
Yeah.
This is the story that affects a small, tiny minority.
It's not.
But it could happen to just anybody.
Actually, when you read the books, they will tell you leukemia affects anybody, everybody.
Across.
We are using Jason because that's the story we have.
Yeah.
But
And they've
adults, I have teenagers, I have young adults.
Are there any
I have-
particular risk factors that makes us predisposed to this?
Yeah, so there are risk factors. And using Jason's case, you realize that he said he has there's a particular genetic makeup that when you are at risk.
Okay.
So some people do have that. But we also know there are the environmental factors.
Okay.
And I don't want to tell you, I don't want to go to a galamsey issue.
But it's a topic.
You must talk about it.
But all these things,
Galamsey is bad.
Even staying around high tension lines.
all
too,
these things,
can,
lead
because
to it is cumulative in the environment. So
Okay.
it starts from some place, it cumulates. The more you expose some of these things, the higher the chances that you get.
And some of them can actually lead to paralysis, like multiple myeloma
Yes,
and all
you
that.
can just get
Complete paralysis.
Paralysis.
And the good thing is, if we are able to establish this, it will also help in our kidney transplant, liver transplant, and all that.
It's
Because
basically
all
the
of them,
same principle. that
all
all
the
use,
same
yeah.
principle.
We
You
have
need
the
to do
skill to do the transplant, what she did in India, the bone marrow. We have the capacity to do that here.
So the thing they really, and that's why the center is important. It's not really the procedure, but what comes with it.
Yes.
Okay.
The testing, the management. I'm sure she mentioned something like post-transplant care. Very, very critical.
Very critical.
You can get it done. You come back to Ghana. If you don't take care, I have a very nice story.
Apart from that, if you take
Just
the
drinking coconut water. You see the knives that the people used to cut. I've seen that knife before.
Yeah.
The dirt on it.
Yeah.
I had a patient who just drank. They used that knife to cut the coconuts, and he just drank the thing. He had the kind of diarrhea he had. He had to run back to where he came from with the transplant. He had transplants. He had just come to visit Ghana, and just drank coconut water by the roadside. He had to be. It was so. The care is important. How you take care of them post-transplant.
Yeah. Elizabeth has an intervention. Hello, Elizabeth. Yes.
Yes, when Senyo was speaking about the research, in my case, what actually made a difference for me was the doctors here in Ghana, my doctors in Kolebu, and then the doctors in India and Singapore. I told them to always communicate whatever the findings may be. So at every point, whatever research they conducted, whatever intervention, Kolebu was in the known. My Jason's doctors were in the known. So when it came to the post-transplant care, they allowed us to come back home at a point because they knew that Kolebu, the doctor that was in charge, was on top of her game. She had all the knowledge. She had asked all the questions. Every meeting that they conducted on Jason, they were in the known. And one amazing thing that happened in Singapore was that after they took the samples from Jason, when they told us he wasn't going to make it, they told us they are going to do what they call genetic analysis. So if they happen to find anything in the future, whatever it may be, if there is any other mutation that they missed along the line, the research they are going to conduct will be communicated back to us. And if it's a gene that can be carried on, that can be passed on to the rest of my children, they would communicate it immediately. And whatever they find, whatever findings that may be, whatever it may be, they are going to communicate with Kolebu. So research, like they said, is actually something that we really need to focus on, because it's one, I say it's an intervention. Research is always an intervention. Had it not been for that geneticist who decided to do that research, which was nobody's business, he just woke up one day and said, let's do this because the medication should be working, but it is not working as it should. So he decided to do that research into that line. And then it turned out that he had that genetic anomaly, and then he had a partner gene. So on the back of doing research and sharing the conversation on research, Ghana is really losing out. We are really behind because we don't have the things that we would actually need for the research. So that's what I wanted to add on.
And Senyo, I need to ask you this because, I mean, I'm a journalist, so when I hear these things, it drives me crazy. This is a country, we have lots of money. We have money. Me and you, we've talked about Auditor General's reports. How much did you say this is going to cost us again?
We're going to $11 million.
$11 million is a drop in the mighty ocean. Why must you struggle to have something as simple? This doesn't cost much. One politician can write a check for you. How much are you going to spend in their primaries? I mean, we need to call this out. And Gerald, I'll come to you.
Sure.
Let me and Senyo do us. We spend money to dig a hole, right? It's there. Huge amount of money.
How much did we spend?
$20 million plus dollars we spent to dig that hole. Auditor General's report, constantly we've seen the huge amounts of money.
$3 billion lost to corruption every year.
All the time. So why are we struggling to do something?
$100 million for primaries.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a simple solution that we are making very complex. When the politicians have the purse, the costs they choose to invest in is absolutely mind-boggling. Shouldn't we be holding them accountable to on this matter?
We absolutely should be holding them accountable. It's a disgrace, it's a shame that we should be sitting here trying to raise funds for such a very critical asset as this. We should be raising funds to actually expand what government has done. But unfortunately, we're actually not raising funds to do what government has not been able to do in how many years since independence?
So the first hematology department was established in 1974.
Which one?
The hematology department.
Yes.
So let me say
but that is not to say that the government is not doing anything when it comes to healthcare.
No. That's what we're saying.
Don't worry. We know they are political politicians. You leave this job. You are not part of the conversation.
Let me say that.
You are not part of this conversation.
The reason why you're not looking at
And this is not to any particular government.
It's a dog.
And that's why I'm saying that. Maybe the reason why they're looking in that direction is that when they get these cancers,
They fly out. That's where I was going.
Yes.
That's where I was going.
they fly out.
What I'm grateful to
When they
God,
suspect, they just
that's it.
So
What will you do?
To do here.
I mean, I'm getting a few political friends sending me messages telling me about
you are not in your comfort
their business
zone.
partners
So if
who have business friends who have had their children and they've flown them out.
Yes.
How many people can be flown out? That's why the last time I said, if you don't suffer with the people, you cannot relate and solve their problem.
Yeah.
If we ban politicians from traveling for any, our health system will go up like this. Understand? It's the same thing with education. Their children are in GIS and SOS, and they are talking about free SHS. And look at the quality and the mess you get there. Please, I am just grateful that the president, His Excellency the President, seems to have the right tone. He's speaking well. Then I'm saying he should do me more. Please, where are the kingpins? But having said that, we expect him to join us in this charge. Government should be able to help us rally the SOEs. The kind of monies we are spending, wasting, overpricing, doing what? Football pitch, what they call it? AstroTurf.
Yes.
And all those kind of things. We give a GMPC 1.5 billion. We don't see how it has transformed the Voltaire Basin. Please, we are not asking for too much. We are going to come back to the central bank, who did a great job during COVID, supporting us build a 100-bed facility in 91 days, and having the single largest location of an ICU with modern facilities. Plus, our right honorable governor, we need your help again. The $1 million you gave us some time back, we need it again today. We should be able to get same from GMPC. Ghana Gas did a similar donation. Fidelity Bank, we want to see same. GCB, we want to see same. Stand Chart, stop speaking English and asterisk. People are dying. We want to see same. We want to see same from Stanbic. All these people collecting money from their mines and doing it, and local banks are not getting the money. Please, it's time to give back and give hope. Let's transform and save lives. You know one thing we always miss? We are not looking at the cultural effect of this. People are losing their spouses.
Yeah.
People are now being stigmatized. That's right. It's a very difficult problem. Superstitions got into the mix of this because people can't even understand what it is. Until you find name and understanding, all we naturally do is do superstition. We have an opportunity to bring hope and life and meaning to real families.
What we are trying to do is to bring everybody on board.
Absolutely.
I mean, corporate Ghana,
governments,
governmental or private, we want everybody on board.
You know, Doc,
I want to also assure the good people of Ghana that once the facility is established,
you will do the work.
We'll do everything to maintain it, to ensure that it stands the test of time.
I mean, I love this. It's been one of my worries.
We need the facility. We need the facility to train more hematologists.
Noite, maybe I want a few people who call you Noite, right? You see, I know government has a lot of health needs, issues. There's a lot of infrastructure. It's no doubt about that. But let's face it, this does not exist at all.
At all.
Mr. President, be the first person to deliver Ghana's first. You've done that in many instances. You've been the first to turn our city to appreciate since our redenomination and for many years. Please join us. We want to see His Excellency the President join us. We want to see His Excellency, Her Excellency the Vice President join us. We want to see the churches join us. This is hope we are restoring to lives, not just those today, but our children and our children's children, those unborn. To that kid, Abu, that kid who was just like Jason. Who comes from a home that could not afford. You know, there was one of the people who said the father was a by-day worker.
Yeah.
I beg. The least we can do for them is that when people gather their small cities, they should be able to go to their own country and get some real care. The least we can do is to create infrastructure so these doctors who learn plenty can actually do their work. All they are doing with this hematology, you are trying, but a lot of it is just academic work because you're not getting proper opportunity to practice. You're not getting the right tools to practice. And what are we doing? We are shooting ourselves in the foot. And this problem, to be fair, is not a Ghana problem alone. So if Ghana is able to go ahead, it becomes a sub-regional facility.
Yeah, but it also tells the story of a sub-regional leadership.
It's a disgrace.
I mean, it's absolute disgrace. Absolute. The kind of money we waste.
When you go to Nigeria and then you see the businessmen taking pride in owning private jets.
Yeah.
Other than thinking of having a facility like this.
One private jet.
Easily. Easily. And Gerald, you are the fund. Let me ask you, what sort of contact have you had with government and government agencies?
Well, I must commend the Vice President. She sent her reps to the concert that we just had, and she's requested to meet the foundation following the concert to understand what's going on. Her office connected us to the Mahama Care.
I think that is.
We're hoping to meet them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But to my friends and brothers, the philanthropists, you see, this thing, it's nice. Sometimes we have a sentimental and a very emotional connection to what we do, although we may not want to be publicized and everything. But understand that even if you can raise the whole $250,000, $500,000 for one patient, the cumulative effect of that can build a center. Okay, and the point is that the number of times that Jason's mother had to go back to see the specialist or to go to the center, if that distance is cut by a quarter, just by driving from even Koforido or Kumasi to Kolebu, Accra.
Instead of flying to
Instead
India.
of flying to Singapore and India. Yeah. This is what we're talking about. So we may have philanthropists who are happy to support that. But the point is that you're supporting a venture which gratifies only you.
So
and this is rare.
Can I also ask Mr. G, so do we have some timelines?
Yes.
Let me be very clear. We get the money today, we are done in 9 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And this is somebody who has built a 100-bed hospital in 91 days with an ICU fully equipped right from scratch. All right, so if I say it can be done, it will be done.
So you get the money today, it's going to take you...
In 9 months, we are done, but it will be done before 9 months. But I'm not as young as I used to be. So I have to give myself some space.
Yeah.
You know, we worked 24 hours back then. Let me give myself
Senyo came hustling all his friends.
we got to hustle everybody to really get it so that we can actually make this progress.
And your point for asking that is?
So I was also going to suggest that, I mean, once we have something at hand, let's start. Once we start.
The question is, what do you have at hand?
So I'll tell you what we've
Do you
done.
have anything at all?
We haven't got much.
Okay.
We've not even been able to meet the first phase budget, that to be about $3 million. All right? We don't have it. We don't have $500,000. All right? We're still struggling to even raise about $300,000. All right? So far from fundraising, we've shied off about $100,000. But thanks to the foundation itself and a few people, we are almost hitting like 300,000.
And you need an 11.
We need 11.3.
So we need like the superstructure, substructure.
So go to.
Yes,
Let's go to it. He has a breakdown here.
There's something called preliminaries. Most people may not understand. That's
Go to Senyo.
about $323,000. Substructure about $384,000, $385,000. Ground floor. The structure, so we are talking core shell for the most part, 483. Forget about the CD side, because at this time the CD budget the exchange was 50.
16, yeah.
We don't know where it will go. So once His Excellency has helped us bring the thing down, then we should also give him the credit for it. But he must come and put some money inside and let's all go. You see. So then the first floor is $500,000. Second floor up almost $0.6 million. Third floor is about $500,000. Fourth floor about $80,000. External works about $90,000. The MEP combined should be about $3.1 million. We have some other things there for communication, about $160,000 roughly. Then contingencies have been budgeted for. Consultancy fees have been budgeted for. Some of it we have already paid on our side. Medical equipment, about $4 million that we are looking at. Some of these prices may have to be updated.
Yes.
We may have variations downwards, some of them variations going up. We price some of these, we still prices much lower than they currently are. But we believe that we can re-engineer this and actually still deliver this. All we need is support from everyone. We are showing you of accountability, transparency in this entire process. Our procurement processes have been very, very open. We're open to the whole public. People participated, very transparent. Those who won. They really saw what they got. The things we have to do with medical equipment, everything will be done publicly. We would update them on the accounts. We are getting one of the top 4 to audit the process. We are getting one of the top 4 to also provide accounting services for the project.
I hope they're going to do it for free though, because it's part of
the COVID. They did it for free.
contribution.
That's what we are expecting this time around as well. The problem with projects, they are cheaper when they are done quicker. The longer they stay, the higher the cost. Because contractors may deploy, mobilize, and demobilize if you're not paying. So we've also phased the project. So we can stop at any phase. So we have phase 1 that will get us get the ground floor somewhat up. We're able to, but we need to actually go core-insure all up so we can practically roof and shield. So even if we don't get all the floors ready, we can start. But that will need us to have a bit more, raise about half the money. Then we're able to get something significant going. So anyone who can, every CD can move in to save a life. That life may be someone today, but it could be you tomorrow. It could be your family another day. It could be your children's children in some future. But this should be a mark, we turning the story around. We can't have critical sectors of our health sector not have proper representation as far as facilities and infrastructure is concerned. It's unforgivable in 2025 for the country that got its first independence south of the Sahara of Africa.
Yeah, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to return. I'll tell you how you can contribute.
Please, Sami Jefi, we are coming to your gold board.
That's gold board. I'll tell you how you can contribute. I'll hear Elizabeth's thoughts on the move to raise funds and how much of a difference it made to her and others. And Korle Bu Teaching Hospital will also tell me, how quickly, once this is established, they can have the place running, equipped with the skills. And we've heard a story. They actually have the people. They have the people. But they will give me their thoughts on maintenance, because that is a key question that had come up, and some may be skeptical about their Korle Bu's ability to keep the facility once it's built. The CEO is here with me. You talk about that one return. Stay with me. And thanks for staying with us on PM Express. My guest in the studio, Dr. Yakubu Seydou Adam, is the CEO of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. Gerald Boache is the president of the Leukemia Project Foundation. Dr. Tete is a specialist hematologist at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, also in the studio. Senyo Hosi is a board member of the foundation. Dr. Ofori Bodu was supposed to join us. We believe we don't have him. But Elizabeth is a mom of the leukemia fighter we told the story of in that documentary. And before we wrap up, I need us to focus on our responsibility as individuals in aiding the process of early detection. We talked about the institutional lack of capacity, etc. We don't have the equipment, etc. But what about us as individuals? What can we do?
So, for as an individual, you just need to be alert, medically alert. As we said, one of the comments was that it presents with just like many other conditions. So it will start with an infection, it might be a pneumonia. Sometimes you have a fever, which could be malaria, it could be anything.
Infections, yeah.
Frequent. So there are no specific symptoms. You cannot tell yourself this is this, or you can look at somebody and say this is this. But there are simple tests that can be done. My CEO just mentioned a full blood count. Full blood count we all do. What we use to check HB. A full blood count alone can give you so much information. So just medically alert and seek help promptly.
Stop self-medication.
Yes, so stop. I was talking about the Ghanaian way of seeking health. First, self-medication. Then you talk to a friend or a neighbor. Then it might end up in the past with the pastor or the prophet, maybe the nearest chemical shop. So it goes through that. But if you come to the medical center promptly, and a simple test, full blood counts, it will tell us whether the blood level is going down, the cell counts are going up, platelets are going up.
So in our annual health check, we should add full blood count.
Actually, it's basic. Yeah. It's basic.
But what I don't know, is it covered by NHI? Does NHI allow for...
It's covered. But
no, I'm saying for annual checkups.
Annual checkups, no.
It's voluntary.
That's something we must look at.
If you have a
That's the way to detect and minimize exposure.
If you go to the hospital and you have your national health insurance card, You are safe.
They will take care of you.
So it depends on you when you want to do the checkup.
That's what we are saying.
So
that
if you decide
don't
that
wait for
every
the
year
thing to-
I'll go for checkup, you go with your card.
and they will do it for you.
And full
That's
black account.
fantastic. There should be a
And a
lot
full black
more
account can do that. It can just pick it up.
awareness
pick it
on
up.
that
The
The
particular
problem is
matter.
that our people don't come promptly.
What about lifestyle?
So lifestyle, again,
Not really.
I mean, I don't want to go into Senyo's history again, but again, there are risk factors. So exposure to chemicals, and I always give the example, when I go to Abosokai and I see them, you can see the dark things in their fingernails. So that when you say they are washing their hands, they're actually using another solvent to wash their hands. Sometimes our people in the agric industry, we teach them how to wear the mask. They will tell you, "We Maya, they are doing it, they are mixing the things, they are not wearing the protective gear." Some of these things, some of our mechanics, they suck petrol with their mouth. These are mucosal membranes. These things can go through. So just make sure that you don't expose yourself to anything, let me say, anything strange, all right? So just protect yourself. Of course, build your immunity, eat well, manage stress. So eat well and manage. So Senyo, I mean, you have to manage stress and eat well. And yes, take care of yourself generally.
And then for the babies, though, is this something that the parents can do to improve the unborn child's?
Yes. So of course, for pregnant women, I mean, it starts
Resistance
from
to
the
it?
pregnancy. So we all know, pregnant women, alcohol, no.
Fetal syndrome.
Smoking, no. Any drug of any kind, no. And as a mother, once you get pregnant and you are taking a drug, you should let your prescriber know that I've taken seed, and you should just check or whether that drug can affect your child. Yeah. So these are basics that pregnant women will go through, and we all know that. But of course, we have a few who will still take their alcohol and do their drugs and all that, and it can manifest sometimes in some of these things. It might not be leukemia, but there are other things that the children can.
I have the Ghana Health Services, Dr. Ofori Boadu on. And Dr. Ofori Boadu, the Ghana Health Services is obviously very important in this. We're talking about building this facility, $11 million. What's the Ghana Health Service role in this, if you may? And knowing what you know across the country, how crucial would this be to helping us deal with this problem?
All right, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I tried to join whilst I was driving, but it wasn't safe, so I couldn't connect well. But I have to quickly run and get home so I could join you.
Yeah.
Because this discussion is very, very important. Ghana Health Service, our focus has always been primary health care. That's about promotive, preventive, and early detection. As has been rightly said, we don't have the facilities now that are well equipped for treatment. But then we have our facilities everywhere in the country to do adequate screening, early detection, and then when the capacity is built, the primary care physician, what we normally call family health physicians, who are almost found in every district, and then some of the few pediatric physicians or pediatricians available will be able to pick it as early as possible. We see this innovation as very critical. Our Dr. Hussein Senyo has said, when we had COVID-19, the same aggression was put in place to have to build GIDC facility that saved a lot of lives. And so coming back to leukemia, it is something we are picking now. As you said, many of our physicians are now aware. We are picking them from our primary facilities. But the challenge is that there is no established center that can do one-stop shop as we are proposing now. A one-stop shop means that a facility that could do very good education, promotive, preventive care, as well as even doing outreach support to Ghana Health Service facilities in hinterland. And so as Ghana Health Service, we see this as very good innovative, that is life-saving. And the agency that we are attached to treat COVID-19, I believe we need to attach the same agency to have this center established.
And how can the Ghana Health Service
contribute
to raising the funds needed to put this up?
Definitely, Ghana Health Service is found in every corner of the country. Our contribution is so enormous that we can get the community engaged. And once the community understands the need for these cancer treatment centers, no matter where you find yourself, you'll be a beneficiary. I believe the
Yeah,
community.
but what they need now is money. I mean, I know you have a budget. I mean, how much are you willing to hive off to support the initiative?
Ghana Health Service is an agency in the Ministry of Health. So our mother ministry actually will seek to have interest. It might not be just raising the money, but advocacy and making sure that this become a priority to our health needs. It's itself, I see it as an indirect contribution to the well-being of the center.
Yeah.
If there's the need for money, I believe the agenda for primary health care from the government, the agenda for Mahama Cares are all something that can be linked into cancer treatment, childhood cancer treatment, which is critical. To me, we don't need to wait till we need a treatment alone, but we need to make impact in even screening and detection, which are also cost-effective. And I believe this center will provide avenue for screening, detection, as well as the rehabilitation care and even aftercare treatment, what we normally call the counseling session that they need will all be needed. So I believe that Ghana Health Service may not make a promise of donation cash, but at least our advocacy and our involvement and contribution, making sure that this center is a priority to Ghanaians, is something that we will carry along.
And Elizabeth, let me get Elizabeth in. Elizabeth, how much of a difference will a center such as we're talking about tonight, how much of a difference would that have made to your story, to the story of your lovely child who passed?
Yeah. So the difference this structure is going to create for families like mine is, you see, when they tell you that you need to seek interventions outside the country, it's always almost always urgent. So it's going to take away that urgency. You know that there is a structure here, there is a system in place that if your child gets diagnosed with leukemia or any other cancer, there is a hospital or a facility that is dedicated to taking care of you. So it takes away that hopelessness. It takes away that feeling of looking for resources to put together to take your child outside the country. When this facility comes, I believe that the difference it's going to create is that we are no longer going to seek treatment interventions outside the country. We are going to have all the systems that we need in place to be able to treat childhood diseases such as leukemia.
And I'm going to put the bank account details on the screen. That's it. It's also going to be down there. But just for the avoidance of that, those who may not be watching but listening, because you also enjoy 99.7 FM, who has the bank account details? Please read it out for me.
It's on the screen.
I know it's on the screen, but we have folks who are listening to us on Joy 99. But you guys should have it on the paper there. So let's share that. I see there's a local currency account. There's a CD account. The account number is 144 1000. That's 1,000 144545. And that is the Leukemia Project Foundation. It's at EcoBank. Is the CD account is 144. Bring it back up. I need that to read that. That's Senyo, you have that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, go to that.
EcoBank.
We just want to remind EcoBank that they are housing our account and they are here to donate to us, so we are counting on them. Abner, we love you so much and all the great work you are doing. I know you'll be willing to stand for a lot of mothers who are feeling hopeless today. With your support, we could make some change. The EcoBank account, both accounts have Leukemia Project Foundation as its name. Mm-hmm. The CD account at EcoBank is 1-4-1-0-0-0-1-4-4-5-4-5. The dollar account again at EcoBank is 3-4-1-0-0-0-1-4-4-5-4-4. We also have an account at Stanbic.
They donated 400,000.
Yeah, they've made some donation of about 400,000 CDs.
We want to repeat it every quarter.
We want to believe that they are committed to repeating that every quarter. If that could be tripled nicely to the glory of God, it would help so that we could actually get that to $1 million of the whole pack. So, Kwame Nasumening, we are saying a good evening to you. We're also hosting our account at Stanbic Bank. The CD account at Stanbic is 904000435615. The dollar account at Stanbic Bank is 904002998889. And if you want to send by mobile money, we have a telecell cash number 020-069-5209. And for all the corporate sponsors, you may reach us at the Joy FM help desk at any point in time, or you reach us at Leukemia Project Foundation at lpfghana.org.
And we also have the merchant ID of 474422. 474422. The mobile number, as you've just heard there, is 0545013437, and then telecell is 0200695209. Enjoy the rest of your evening.